Alright, who wants to lead off on it?
Alright, Carolyn Gunter damaged the rose bush while providing a mowing service, did not notify management until next morning. Customer had already called and emailed us upset. It was resolved. I went over there and pretty sure I replanted the bush, right? Replanted the rose bush.
Yeah,
Planted the same one, but she wanted it changed to the one that was messed up, so we went back and put the messed one up in there.
Yeah, so
Cause it had some value to it.
what would be your takeaway on that one?
What do you mean?
Or how to avoid that.
What would you do, yeah, how would you avoid it,
Definitely
what would
probably
you do
stay
differently?
away. Well, first, probably ask the customer to not plant bushes against the house and go around it next time. I mean, like, not like she's got like bushes like in the grass right behind her house, so it's kind of,
All right, we're gonna.
yeah.
You got thick skin. You've been here a few times, so I don't mind. All right. So your first instinct, and this may seem small, and this is not shaming anybody. This is the name of the game. This is extreme ownership. You want to play, you want to win. You're gonna have a coach that's a little hard nosed. So, extreme ownership. First thing you take away is how to avoid the situation in your control, right? So I know if nobody wants to feel like they're to blame. Nobody wants that. That feels awful. So what you want to do though is say what's in your control. I know you kind of jokingly is like, well, let's ask the customer not to plant these bushes. That's not going to happen. The bushes are where they are going to be. Unless we plant them, then we put them there. So, and you said it the second way is just be more careful if they're just like any other obstacle, right? Just like siding, it's
Right.
there. It might be cheap. It might be lower than you like it to be, but you got to watch it, right?
Be careful, yeah.
And so that's the takeaway. And then if anybody here, that's why I say extreme ownership so important, is because if you own everything in your world, you're not going to allow anything to get in the way.
Yeah, and just think guys, if we go to a yard, we just mow the grass there. And they put a bush right in the middle of the grass. The right thing to do is weed eat as close as you can to it. And who cares if there's grass growing up inside the bush? As long as you're weed eating as close as you can safely, and we don't do any bed weeding or any shrub maintenance, well then the customer was kind of choosing not the best spot for that shrub in the middle of the grass, so all you can do is get as close as possible and maintain a safe distance. And then, you know, I'm sure Hunter likes to do a good job, so that's why you try to get as close as possible, but just don't do it. Just if there's grass growing up inside the bush because they didn't create a bed or anything there, that's not our fault. You're just there to mow the grass and get as close as you can and not damage anything.
Yep.
So
It is annoying though, for sure.
Yeah.
100% feel your pain
I
on
will
that.
say you couldn't get the weed eater and the weed eater in between the house and the bush.
Oh,
without-
no, yeah, you definitely
without-
can't.
well, then if
That's what I
that's the
did. I went
case, then
behind.
yeah, if that's the case, just leave it.
Yeah.
Alright.
And then when the customer calls and complains and says, hey, they're not weed eating this, and I talked to you about it, because if it's a call like, hey, they're not weed eating around these bushes, you know, we might have a conversation before we do a tail snip, and then you could simply say, there is no way the bush is right next to the house. She
Should
doesn't
sell her
have
on
bed weeding.
could sell her on a bed install. Yeah, it's because if that was, see what you do is you do everything in your control, force the client to then say, hey, what's going on here? And I'd be glad to tell you what's going on, is that these plants are inside of grass. There's nothing that we can do, but we'd be glad to come in, install a bed with these plants,
Right.
that kind of thing.
Cool.
All right.
Who, Gabe, Will?
I'll go, yeah. So this is me and Josh, but at Teresa Field, it was a property cleanup. I had left my weed eater at the previous yard, and when I realized it at the cleanup, I made the executive decision to not go back and get it, to just get the cleanup done, and I ended up leaving grass inside the bed line. So we went back with a weed eater and raked all the mulch out and smashed it all down, sprayed it, and it looks real good now. But
Nice.
So, I think part of that, Gabe, sorry to cut you off, is it was a property cleanup, was initial bed weeding, and Gabe pulled a bunch of the weeds, but where Matthew came in and edged it earlier, there was still grass right behind the edge. So the grass behind the edge line is gonna be considered a weed.
Yeah.
That's what, she came home, saw a bunch of grass along the edge and was like, well, no one did anything with the
Right.
weeds.
But, takeaway is, if you leave a tool somewhere, just go get it now. Just go get it. You need it. You
Yeah,
always
not-
need it.
I think you get it taken.
And
Yeah,
that
that
too.
too.
That too.
All right, appreciate it.
Okay, sir.
Thanks, Gabe.
No problem.
I had,
Yes, Will, I'm sorry if you don't remember that one, that was a long time ago.
I did. I went back here last week, cut their grass,
Yeah,
and then
did you see the tree?
I seen the tree in the bud, but at the time I didn't have like the proper equipment,
Yeah,
or I didn't know the chainsaw like maintenance.
yeah,
like
please,
sharpening it and the big old log how to cut it.
yeah,
But I did the extra like cutting everything off the fence and getting everything off the ground like the ivy.
Mhm.
But yeah, like when I went back last week, the neighbor got mad at me, started yelling at me about his cutting his ivy off the fence. But it was in the video, so.
Well, you can cut anything off of somebody's fence because if anything's hanging over,
Yeah.
it's now yours.
yeah.
So
So I think you and I did, you and Brian did some tree work, got you a little bit more brushed up with that, but if we ever, we've cut out a lot of tree work, I don't think we're gonna do much of it anymore. So if you ever wind up on a job and you, need help, if I can't drop what I'm doing to come and help you, what we can do is try and reschedule it with the client, or maybe send another team there. It'd probably end up being rescheduled, but if there's anything you need help with and I can't drop what I'm doing, we'll just reschedule it, and try and get you those skills.
yeah,
But,
you good.
well, I just kinda, I don't have a tail snap, but, last week, I was, edging somebody's back patio, and I shattered their back patio door. And, instead of taking responsibility for it, I kinda just put the blame on the situation, and I felt like, you know, after evaluating the situation, I could've went about it a different way. I could've tried to, pay more attention and edge, a different way, so just wanna let y'all know I did that, so, you know, if you haven't done it before, just be really careful, cause you don't wanna, go through that.
I'll get myself, since you got yourself, that big shiny new door, that was brought to you by me. I, thought I had, dropped the trailer in my haste to leave, and I did not. And I hit the, frame, and now we have a much bigger, nicer bay door. So do not, I'd say it's hard not to get in a rush, but that's when most of your mistakes are probably gonna happen, it's when you're rushing. So, no matter how much you think you have on your plate or what's going on, I would still go through the motions of everything before you haul ass and rush, cause it could cause a big issue. Yeah, and then also, my mistake affected y'all every day for 2 weeks as well, which was not fun, backing in, so. Yeah, where, I think everyone here makes mistakes, so, no one's immune to it.
Nope.
Alright. we're
And
good?
if you go on what Jeremy was saying about the tree work, if anybody's doing anything here that they feel uncomfortable with, if they don't believe they're gonna deliver a product that we sold the customer, just let us know. And it's our fault if we put you in that situation, but it's your fault if you don't let us know. You know what I'm saying? Or your responsibility, I should say, if you don't let us know. Definitely our responsibility to put you in situations that you're gonna be successful. But if we do something that we should have realized and didn't, just bring it to our attention. It's not gonna make you look bad. It's on us.
I think we've eliminated everything. Obviously, what Devin and what Nikki was doing is a little bit more specialized here, but everyone else that could be for a property cleanup, mulch or pine straw, I think we've eliminated everything outside of that, and I think tree work was the last one that we needed to get rid of for us to be able to, from the time I schedule a job, if it's under like 2 hours or less, I don't even put it on the project calendar. I just throw it on the schedule, meaning any one of you could get assigned to it based on where you're mowing that day. So I don't think there's gonna be much that troubles you, but if it does, stop and let us know.
Cool.
All right, let's get some